Let's take a look at Final Cut's editing windows. When you open up the program, there should have been 4 of them. However, depending on the arrangement of these windows when Final Cut was last used, they may be slightly different from the array that we're going to learn from. There's no correct or proper way to have one's Final Cut editing set up, as everyone sees their display and edits differently. And once you begin editing on a regular basis, you may find that your needs for screen real estate will have changed a number of times. Through experience, one will figure out the best way to set up their own editing area. So whatever works best for you is the correct way. Eventually, you'll probably find that you will have different setups for different projects or even different editing techniques. You can save these different formations simply by going to Window, then Arrange, and then selecting the Save Window Layout option. Final Cut comes with a number of its own pre-made window setups as well. Feel free to play around with these or make one of your own. For this part of the lesson, though, let's set up our editing workspace so that they mirror one another. Go to Window, then highlight Arrange, and then select Standard from the list of options. We should now both be looking at the same editing workspace arrangement. Starting from the top left corner, going in a clockwise fashion, we should see what is known as the browser, the viewer, the canvas, and finally the timeline. The browser window will contain, among other items, your clips, audio files, image files, bins, and your sequences. They will all be placed under your Project Files tab. Currently, it should read as Untitled Project 1 because we've not yet named it. Let's go ahead and do this by saving our project. You'll do so by going up to the File drop-down menu and selecting Save Project As. A Save window should pop up, which allows you to both name your project file as well as select where you'd like it saved. Go ahead and do this, and then click the Save button. Once you've done this, you'll now find that this particular browser tab will now read as the new name of your project. To the right of this project tab, you'll find the Effects tab. This is a very exciting tab that will no doubt give you hours of editing pleasure. It's the fun area where you get to play with effects such as transitions and filters. I'm now going to open up one of my older projects. That way you may see what the other windows, such as the viewer, canvas, and timeline, look like and what their functions are. I realize that you will not be able to perform some of these functions without having clips in your browser, but that's okay. You will be capturing and using your own clips shortly. So for now, just relax and allow me to finish this brief tour through the editing windows. The viewer area is where one essentially views a piece of footage. Whenever you double-click on one of the files from the browser, it will automatically open up in the viewer. You'll notice that there are 4 tabs on the viewer. These are showing basic properties that are associated with the particular clip that you selected. The first tab is rather obvious. It's the video of your clip. You can view the entirety of your clip by simply hitting the spacebar or clicking on the play button. You may also move through the clip by doing what's known as scrubbing. Do this by clicking and holding on the playhead and moving back and forth on this bar, known as the scrubber bar. You can also shuttle through the clip by clicking and dragging on either side of what's known as the shuttle control. You'll notice other buttons on the viewer that you might be wondering about, but you can play with those once you've got some clips captured and in the viewer. If you click the Audio tab, you'll see a visual representation of the audio that is associated with the clip. You'll be able to make pans and set levels here. You'll also have noticed that only the area inside the controls changed. The buttons and tabs remain the same. You can navigate through the audio portion of a clip in the same fashion as you would the video. The Filters tab is where you'll find any filters that have been placed on a clip. Initially, no clip will have any filters listed. It's not something that occurs before or during a capture. Filters are placed on clips afterwards. So that is why you'll find no filters listed when you open up a clip in the viewer for the first time. The last tab is the Motion tab. This is a tab that will list some of the more complicated properties for a clip, such as its size or scale, or the rotation that a particular clip takes, or how a clip has been specially cropped. Even the opacity can be changed here. For now, we are finished with the viewer window. So let's click back to the Video tab and continue on. Let's now move on to the Canvas window. This should be located directly to the right of the viewer window. The Canvas window is where we view the film as it is being put together. Think of the canvas as the canvas that a painter would use. All of the work happens and is viewed by looking at the canvas. It's the same when editing in Final Cut. And the window itself isn't all that different from the viewer window and functions in much the same way. You can play through the whole project by simply hitting the spacebar or clicking the play button. You can also scrub through the project in the same ways. One major difference that you'll see are the three colored icons located at the bottom left-hand portion of the window. These are editing controls, and we'll get to those once we're actually doing some editing. The last major window to discuss is the timeline. You'll find it at the bottom third of your screen. All video and audio tracks and clips edited into a project are located here. It's the project from start to finish. It is the template, or more commonly, the sequence for your project. All of the editing information for what you are viewing in the canvas is located here. In fact, try going back up to the canvas and clicking and moving its playhead. When you do this, notice the playhead in the timeline below. It moves along with it. In this way, the canvas and timeline are married to one another. Wherever you go on the timeline, you will see the result reflected in the canvas window. You may have noticed two smaller windows located to the right of the canvas. They are the Tools palette and a set of audio meters. We'll go into these a little later on.